So earlier today, I was having dinner with my folks. So my dad and my stepmom and my sister Melissa, who was in town. and I forget exactly how we got on the subject of it. But, oh no, yes I do. It was, they were talking about watching American Idol. And my parents watch a lot of TV, on their downtime and everything. And, you know, I have much more free time to watch shows. I don't make a whole lot of time to watch to watch TV and movies and whatnot, because I keep my breaks relatively short. But my parents and a lot of my family are into a lot of these very mindless shows. They're not big into reality TV, thank God. To me anyway. But they watch American Idol. My dad and I watched Monster Trucks years ago at like 4 o'clock in the morning one time. And then also, my dad watches Game of Thrones, which is like a real show that you can get yourself invested into that has a plot. And it got me thinking when they were talking about American Idol specifically, because I was kind of drawing a blank yet again for what to talk about for this next vlog. But the subject came up of like, what is it that like changes your perception of getting into a show compared to watching something that is just very, amusing or whatever. And this has a lot to do, or rather this was interesting to me because I was trying to compare it to what it's like to watch stuff on the internet, where your kind of perception is completely different compared to watching a TV show. So for the mindless stuff like American Idol, reality TV shows, etc., I think that what it comes down to is just like, because people work, 9-to-5 jobs and they come home and they don't really want to have to think too hard. They just want to maybe veg out and relax. I feel like that's where the main appeal of those kind of shows come from, for why they have such a big audience as well, is because there's so many people who kind of fit into that, category of just like, I just want to relax. I don't really want to think too hard. Now, granted, I know that there is like a real fandom behind like, the more legit, I guess, parts of American Idol when it comes down to like, the 10, most talented people in the world who, make it to the final round of it. And then it like, it gets to be something that you can really become invested into. And, so there is some value to that, as opposed to just like, I don't know, people getting voted off the island in a reality show or something. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, and then compared to that, I mean, like with Game of Thrones and any of like these big, TV dramas and things, it's like, when you go into watching a show like that, you're really preparing yourself for like, okay, I'm invested into this. I am following the entire universe that all these characters live and exist in. I'm wrapping my head around the 17 plots that are all kind of going on at once and whatnot. So I mean, because when you go into watching a show like that, and everybody has like that one show, as far as I'm aware, like everybody just has like, oh, this is my show. I gotta keep up with this one, So thinking about that, I try to get to the bottom of like, okay, well, Dad, what is it that separates, for when you're watching TV, like between watching the mindless stuff like American Idol and watching the stuff that like you really care about and are following, like even not just Game of Thrones, but like football or something, And you tried to explain it to me, and it stemmed from just like his general like getting into the show in the first place. Because once you get into something, that you're just hooked, and then just your brain is programmed to be like, I have to watch the next episode. I have to, unless you get super pessimistic and then you hate whatever's happening in the show and then you don't want to watch it anymore. But that's more for people, I feel like, in my age range, which comes down to like attention span, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But for him, it came down to like conceptually if something is interesting enough. And also, I mean, we joke, but I would imagine that this is real. I mean, Hunger Games. I was going to make that mistake. Feel free to rip on me for that one, Martin, if you're listening to this. Game of Thrones, not Hunger Games. It's there's a lot of I hesitate to use the word fan service because that's more anime specific, but there's a lot of ass and tits, in that show. and that's a thing that get people interested in something. But beyond that, the fact that it was historic, like the setting that was being used, the sort of like medieval setting, and the war sort of stuff. Like my dad loves the game Risk, and he kind of describes it as like Risk the TV show. So that makes sense. I see that, like, a show having an interesting enough concept to grab you to want to see it in the first place. Because, like, yesterday I was saying, like, I don't really care about the Lego movie. I don't think the Lego movie is, like, going to be awful or whatever. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's funny. But just, like, conceptually, I'm not really interested in going to see it. So it's kind of the same thing as, or it's similar to, like, my point about Frozen, where it's like, this is a good movie. I just didn't like it. With the Lego movie, it's like, I'm not interested in seeing this on just, like, the base concept alone. I don't really want to go see it, but that doesn't mean that I think it's bad or people shouldn't see it or whatever. And I think that's really what it comes down to with most things, but people just turn it into something personal and they make it like, I hate this thing and it sucks. Like those two things go hand in hand for people sometimes when they shouldn't. So yeah. So what does this all mean? What's the point of this, and how does this tie to me specifically? The reason I was interested in discussing it with them, and then why it made for a good subject to tackle on this video, is because I think it's kind of interesting how people go into watching something, whether it's a movie or a show or just a video or whatever, and they're kind of just trained perception of going into it, depending on what the medium is and what the point is of it, because what I did to compare to it, like my stepmom watches, occasionally she'll watch like little stupid YouTube videos, like the top YouTube video kind of things, which generally are short, funny, goofy, stupid, whatever kind of videos of like animals or whatever, that's generally the kind of stuff that gets like the millions and millions of views. So I made a comparison to, like, because my parents have never seen like a full episode of Tone before. They know that I do it, and they think it's cool, but like they haven't actually watched it. And I explained that, like, what I'm doing is I'm making like a full, like a show, like a full length 15 to 30 minute long thing, which is not typical for the internet. And it's because of the fact that most people, when they go into watching a YouTube video or an internet video in general, even way back in the day before YouTube, they're all short, funny, goofy, I don't need to place a lot of emotional investment or time or attention span into what I'm watching kind of thing. Because that's just kind of the way of the beast with it. But it's also interesting to me because, especially people who are kind of in my age range, people who, illegally go digging for, TV shows or movies or whatever online, or even just watch them legally on Netflix just over their computer or whatever. I mean, like, then they'll invest the time because they're just going into it knowing, okay, this is a half hour long, or this is like several hours long, or whatever. Something like Tome, because it's an internet produced thing, but it's not short, sweet, to the point, funny, goofy, whatever. It's produced like a TV show, basically. It has a much more niche audience. It's an audience that I'm very grateful to have and I'm very appreciative of. But it's niche, and because most people going into something like that. But this is also to explain too, because some people have been kind of off put by the fact that I've been submitting these Tome episodes into like 10-minute segments. Part of that is to help net like a little bit of a new audience who might not have the attention span or time to watch a full 30-minute long thing. And even 10 minutes sometimes is pushing it. Like the guys at Cartoon Hangover, Frederator, they really know how to work it because they figured out the exact kind of like span of time that you can keep people for, which is, especially for like a cartoon, it's like 6 minutes or so. So all the Bravest Warriors and whatever else stuff, those episodes are all about 6 minutes long, which makes sense. But, with shows on the internet, I mean, like there are definitely also rare exceptions. There's like Hulu specific stuff and, like web series that get like a lot of promotion and whatnot. So, and I think good for that stuff. I think it's cool that people are trying to kind of push that more and see what they can do with it. But, it's interesting. So my question to all of you guys out there, what is it that, when you go into watching something, I mean, I feel like most of my audience is going to be like, they're invested into wanting to watch something like anime or like a full movie or show or whatever. I'm not expecting too many people who follow my stuff to be like into, casual kind of stuff or like, turn your brain off, short attention span kind of things. Or no, or maybe you will, because maybe also a lot of you following me, like, you probably follow other animators who are known for doing, shorter, quicker things that are like, could more easily go viral. What is kind of, if you ever stop and think about it, what is your perception like with going into watching something? How do you make that kind of cognitive disconnect in your head about like, I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to watch a TV show, I'm going to watch a video on the internet, I'm going to watch a GIF. Even like we're just like a GIF in the form of a video for Christ's sake, depending on the length and depending on, the content itself, what is it like for you? Like if you really had to stop and think about it, because maybe you don't think about it, but if you had to stop and think about it, what is it that goes through your head? How do you make that disconnect between material and what is it that you go through to kind of, figure that out? So let me know in the comments. And if you've got any other ideas for, future subjects to tackle, you can leave a comment about that too. Feel free to, shoot me a message on Twitter or Tumblr or Facebook. And in the meantime, I also I just put out another tome video. I put out episode 1, part 2. So if you haven't seen the show before, check it out. And if you have seen the show already, then you might want to check it out also, because there's a little bit of an extra little thing that I threw in specifically for the YouTube versions, just to give something a little extra. And also, I've been putting out. I just put out a commentary for the full tome episode 1 on the official website. So go check that out too. Learn about how the series was created and everything. So thanks for listening. Again, leave a comment, share with me your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.